All right, it's 0700. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Steve DeBenedette, Deputy Plant Section Chief, Incident Management Team 3. Today's Friday, August 20th, 2021, and this is your operational briefing for the Dixie incident. A few reminders: if you have cell phones in the audience, please put them on a mute setting, and please refrain from any side conversations during our briefing. For our objectives, both the management objectives and the control objectives have not changed since last operational period. And now with the situational update, night operations, Sean Jerry.
Good morning, Sean Jerry, night operations. Starting on branch 9, the stuff that slopped over on the south side of Highway 36, they picked up yesterday on Doe Mountain, hand line around that with dozer line. Continuing into branch 13 along Highway 89, that continues to hold. Branch 16, they're continuing with line construction to the north. Yesterday on the 147 group, they did have a spot fire take off. They contained that at 26 acres on Dyer Mountain. Jamesville yesterday between the dozer line and Janesville grade, it slopped over at 150 acres roughly, around drop point 282. They've been working that with tankers and hand crews in there, starting to pick it up, and it's starting to look fairly good. Thank you.
Weather, Joe Gosward.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. We just cannot catch a break with the smoke. There's so many fires burning out there, as you guys all know. It doesn't matter what the wind speed and or wind direction is, we're getting smoke from somebody else. And that's evident. And we're also getting smoke from ourselves. So you put all those factors together, and it's another smoky start to the day. And the well-advertised wind shift, for those of you who have been here, still looks like it's going to occur later today. We're starting with a general downslope, down drainage type wind, light from the northeast, and they're going to kind of shift around to the southeast and then to the southwest by early this afternoon. And then they are going to start to pick up a little bit. We're looking at 15, maybe some gusts of 25 miles an hour. Those higher gusts will be confined to the ridge tops, those exposed slopes, and where the topography really lines up well with those winds. So we're looking at still temperatures. Again, this is just an average across the entire incident. The specifics are in your IAP, but we're just going to show we're going to see some elevated winds this afternoon, and then we do have a dry cold front coming in for tomorrow. We're going to see the winds pick up 20, maybe 30 miles an hour, a few higher gusts as well. Still not real hot, still not terribly dry, but again, we're going to have those winds to deal with, and the mitigating factor, as it's always been on this incident, is the smoke. If we get too much smoke, that's going to keep the lid on. But for now, we're going to see those southwest winds pick up regardless this afternoon and tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Fire behavior, Brian Newman.
Okay, good morning. I just want to remind everyone that's been here and those that are new that we are under a fuels and fire behavior advisory. It is in your IEP on the page directly behind the fire behavior forecast. So please review that as part of your briefing today. So you just heard from IMET, we are experiencing a wind shift today throughout the day. The last time we had this wind shift a couple days ago, we started seeing activity on different places than we had seen previously. So expect much of the same today. And instead of those faces that were getting the winds yesterday on the north and east side, now on the south and west side are going to start picking up some of that wind and be getting exposed for that today and start picking up activity. So places where yesterday's activity from the northeast we're spotting over or had activity coming over the top of it and through some spots out there, expect those to pick up today. Expect the winds to hit that and freshen it up and get it going today. So obviously our biggest issue again is the smoke, and every time that we've had smoke over the incident and it starts to thin, we've seen that increase in activity. So expect that same thing to happen again today. So over on the far side of the fire, branch 9, branch 13 area, it should start to see the effects of that southwest wind first, just because of its geographic location. So things will start to blow in over here, especially terrain driven. All of this wind is going to be dictated by the terrain as well. It's just going to be steered by the topography and allowed to shift around in that. So be heads up where you are in that topography. So over here on this side, you'll start to see that blow in. It's going to be helpful on this far side where we've been struggling with some of that stuff, but it's going to affect this northern part of November around Apapa and Quebec. That's going to start pushing some of that stuff out across and potentially challenge the lines again. That's some higher elevation stuff as well. So it's going to see that smoke thinning first. It's going to be exposed to the wind first and have the opportunity to stand up and have some activity first. Same thing across on the Lassen sector over on the 821 road. It's been holding pretty well, but there's still opportunities for the wind to throw some of those embers out and potentially cause some spots. You're hearing about it from night ops, and you'll hear about it tomorrow again, that we are still getting spot fires, even without a critical wind condition or anything that's really outside the norm. We're still getting spot fires, so expect to be picking up spot fires and that they could still be out there. Coming around on the Clear Branch, we had that push through the funnel of 36 to the southwest. Now it's turning around and pushing back in. So the Hamilton Mountain area, where there's been quite a bit of activity, expect as that wind comes across the dry lake bed here and impacts that, it's going to pick that activity up and start giving it a little bit of a push. So just be a heads up on that as we start into that wind shift this afternoon. And down into the Janesville branch area, again, this had made that southwest push. It's now getting freshened up. The smoke will start to clear and allow for some activity to pick up down in here, especially down in the very southwest corner here where it had made that push. It's going to get exposed to that wind across that plateau out there and across that topography and allow it to pick up on some activity. So our biggest factor is that wind shift today. Just be heads up on that. This smoke may impact your aircraft opportunities, so don't make any plans utilizing aircraft as your base plan. Take that into consideration and have a safe shift.
Safety, Damon Godden.
Good morning. We want to start out this morning by mentioning human factors. You guys have all been fighting fire on 4 different fronts on this fire, and it still continues today. So please continue your good leadership. We had a spike of minor injuries yesterday. We want to see that flatline and slow down. Fatigue management is a huge piece for you. So take care of your folks that way. When it comes to driving, we had a rollover 2 days ago. With our cooperators, we don't want that to happen with the red apparatus, let alone someone from the public. So be heads up, slow it down a little bit, especially when you go to get fuel here in town. There's history in the locals as far as wrecks right here on the River Road. So please don't have one with our own apparatus and the public. That would just take away all the good work that you guys have been doing all this time. So with that, make sure you maintain your safety zones. We've had a lot of crews use safety zones with the fire behavior that we've seen here, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Operations, Mark Brunton.
Good morning. Welcome back. And for those of you new, welcome to the Dixie. On the west zone, we have the fire split into 3 sectors. Under that, branches, and then under that, divisions and groups. We'll do our roll call down to the division soup level. The Butte sector is being run remotely, and that is leadership that is remote, not here. The rest of it is here, and we'll call that out, and they'll introduce themselves. So under the Butte sector, we have Cassone. Moving on to the Lassen sector, Deputy Operations, Bohall. Here. Branch 9, Ham. Here. Kilo will be the strike team leader off of 9443 Charlie, Imlock. Here. Division Lima, Reese. Here. Lassen Heavy Equipment, Johnson. Here. Branch 13, Clement. Division November, Oscar, and Lassen IA are up in the park. Division Papa, English. Here. Branch 16, Boston. Here. Division Quebec, Ryan. Good morning. Division Romeo, Swope. Here. Division Tango in uniform would be together, and that's Spindler. Here. Moving on to the Westwood sector, Deputy Operations Section Chief, Norman. In Division Juliet, will be the strike team leader of 1279 Foxtrot, Nelson. Here. The Clear Branch, Smith. Here. The 147 Group, Degg. Here. Meadow Group, Wilson. Here. Duffy Group, Pangburn. Here. The Westward and Peninsula Group will be Schmidt. Susanville Branch, Thornton. River Group, Garcia. Gold Group, Brady. Trainee, Zimmerman. Janesville Branch, Gaines. Deputy Branch, Ulrich. Milford Group will be McTeague. Hicks Group, Grindal. With trainee, Perry. Fire suppression repair will be down in Butte, that's Derby. Staging, Montiel. Okay, our priorities for the Lassen. Number one is all the infrastructure, whether it be structures or other infrastructure. That's going to be our number one priority, is the maintenance and care of that within that sector. Number two priority is to stop the westward progression and perimeter control of that part of the fire. Third priority will be the eastward progression within that sector. For the Westwood, number one priority, Janesville, getting that buttoned up and put away. Number two, the support of the east zone on the Dyer Mountain. And number three is to finish our firing op on Highway 36. So overall, this has been a stubborn fire. It's a big fire, a lot of challenges, some wins, some losses, but we're getting there. The key about the success of that is providing excellent leadership that you have here. The other part is the boots on the ground, you folks out there. Okay, whether you're fire, whether you're law enforcement, first responders, you're taking care of business. We're fixers. Okay, this is a big problem. We're fixing it. It isn't going to be a quick fix, but we have the ability and we are going to fix it. And the key there is persistence. General George C. Marshall said about persistence, "The truly great leader overcomes all difficulties, campaigns, and battles. And there's nothing but a long series of difficulties to be overcome." Our charge to you today is be persistent like champions.
Air Operations, Matt Stanford.
Good morning. All air assets are on page 58, 57 and 58. Yesterday, because of good communications with the east and west zone, using the east zone, anything with a double letter identifier in the division is east zone air to ground, west zone air to ground is west zone air to ground. Please continue up the good work. We were able to drop 300,000 gallons of water and 100,000 gallons of retardant with good communication with ground resources and air resources. The VLATs, LATs, and ASM tankers were flying all day yesterday. There's a lot of retardant on the ground. Watch for snags, loose footing, everything that can hamper your operation today. As far as what we have today, we have the VLAT, ASM, air tankers, and an air attack. 27 helicopters working out of 4 helibases, and yesterday all of them flew. We're integrating an ASM and an air attack and a Helco on each side of the fire, and we're having great success. If you have any medical emergencies, please follow the medical plan. Work hard, work safe.
Communications, Corey Costa.
Hi, good morning, Corey Costa, ComL trainee. For today, August 20th, there's no new clone today. The last clone was Saturday, August 14th. So if you're new to the incident, checking out a radio today, come by communications, we'll get you the most updated clone. For the West Zone 205s, they'll be found on page 59 and 60 in your IAP. East Zone 205 will be on page 61. As always, when you're doing your divisional breakouts or you're getting ready to go over your assignment, check your 204s, check your 205s, and remember, just because that 204 says that certain frequency for your command, you can always move around and check the other 205 command to see what works for you. We did add a map on page 62 to try to help out with kind of seeing where you're at and using which group or zone depending on where you're working. As always, if you have any other issues, concerns, bleed over, anything like that, come see us at Communications. We're at the end of Main Street, right by Supply. Have a safe shift.
Medical, Kevin Fortney.
Good morning. You're going to find your medical plan on page 64 this morning. Again, the box 8 information at the bottom of the page is the important part. The left side, the procedure, the right side, the information we need to help mitigate your issue. I'm on Trailer Row. If you have any injuries that have happened on the incident, please come by and see me so we can get those reported. The CalMat team is still out here in between the feeding area and the comm unit. The dock is there. We have medical supplies if you need something. Please stop by. My number is at the bottom of the 206. If you have any questions during the day, please feel free to call me. Have a safe shift.
Logistics, Milford Ferguson.
Morning, Miller Ferguson, Logs Chief. Got a couple good points here I need you to pay attention to today. Page 77, we have an updated map for fuel, ground support, and demob stuff here in town. So you have all those addresses to look up once you get to that point, or in any of those services. Also, page 74, we have a CDF 101 in there for any hose left on the line. Please mark that where that's at, fill that out in your IEPs, and turn those in for replacement. Especially up in, if we're doing any kind of work, the Spike Camp and Highland Ranch Spike, please turn those in also so we can get the appropriate hose you need and appliances. 213s are going to be for all countable items, or I'm sorry, consumable items, and anything that has firing tools on it, please have branch or better. Also, anyone from the Highland Ranch that needs firing tools, please communicate through your divisions up to branches, get approval. We'll send them to the Spike Camp only to make sure they're accounted for and they're sent on the line and not any spike, any drop point being unattended and lost. Also, we have a lot of hose caches, drop tanks. We're finding a lot of pictures. I'm getting sent pictures of stuff that's been left behind, pallets of it. We're going to go out and try to get it, but if it's out there, you know where it's at, please bring it forward and use those caches that we have out there on the line. Trash is becoming another big problem. Even though we're still kind of in the middle of this incident and we're not at the end, start back hauling trash. We've been out there for many days and we want to piling up. And specifically, we can't be dumping any trash in any city dumpsters. It has to be drop points. Call up for service. We'll come pick it up, or please haul it back to our camps. Thank you.
Information, Blanca Mercado.
Good morning. If you could please turn to page 67 in the IEP. Our updated numbers for acreage is 700,630. That's 700,630. Containment's at 35%. Total personnel is at 5,696. Branches, divisions, and strike teams. If you have media on your line, please utilize the media line number at the top of the page. We'll get a PIO out to you. The Calfire social media policy is on the QR code just to the right on that page. Any photographs, videos of the incident, utilize the Gmail account. Lost and found is still at the trailer as well as mail service. Utilize that address at the bottom of the page. Have a safe shift.
All right, a few reminders. Immediately after briefing, please report to your breakout locations. The Westwood sector is located behind me outside the fence. The Lassen sector is behind you outside the briefing area. For our meeting schedule, our cooperators meeting will be at 0900 hours. We have a planning meeting at 1700 hours, and your next operational briefing will be tomorrow at 0700 hours. And now with Unified Incident Commanders, Jay Lusher and Billy C.
Good morning, everyone. We continue to be inspired by your hard work day after day. Everybody gets out of bed, puts their boots on, goes back out on the line. As leaders, we want to continue to grow and learn, not just for ourselves, but for the people that we lead. You've heard quotes throughout your tenure here from some of our military leaders. They provide a lot of inspiration. Stanley McChrystal recognized as he was leading the Joint Special Operations Command that his tactics weren't working. He made changes, hard changes, to battle something that was new. We have to continue to make changes. It's not always the change in front of you. Sometimes it may be the change behind you. We have to make sure that the work that we do continues to be secure. Recognize that things may have changed from the way we used to do things, and then we may have to go back and ensure that the door is still closed behind us. Thank you.
Obviously, the key word today is change. We've been on a roller coaster ride 30 plus days as the weather and wind keeps changing direction on us. Each day is a different direction and a different challenge and different opportunity. Yesterday we had a section of line that has been in patrol status for a few days now that heated up and stood up again. That was caused by the stress of all the trees out there and the vegetation It was caused by needle casts coming out of the trees that have been stressed. We're going to continue to see that on this incident. Be prepared, stay flexible. When these issues arise because of the wind and the needle cast crossing the lines and then catching some embers and starting up again, we're going to be back on the same ground that we've already gained control of. So be prepared to move. We're going to keep moving resources where it needs to be at the appropriate time for the right reason, and continue to point protect all these communities. And each day we continue to gain success. 700,000 acres. This is huge. A lot of work still ahead of us. We've got a lot of open line. There's 490 miles of open line or line on this incident right now. That's the distance between Los Angeles and Chico. Just keep that in perspective. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the hard work, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you.
That concludes your operational briefing. Please remember to turn your phones back on and have a safe shift.